I've posted about this numerous times over, and it keeps getting it's circulated. It keeps popping up in my notifications on LifeLog 2.0. You see some of the celebrity puppets out there who are promoting this, who are dumber than a bag of rocks, and they're getting compensated for doing so, if I'm not mistaken. Just the same, it's disgusting. Let's see if it's still on here. Yeah, it's still at the top. I'm shocked. It's kind of strange that my comments are on the top. Usually I fall to the bottom of the stack, but for some reason with this one, they haven't. A lot of people have here, well, I should say more than usual. People have interacted with this in a good way and the bad way, but in a good way more often than they usually do with me. Usually people don't hear me out, see what I say, and or care. These are recent ones I just left on here, as you see with 2 minutes ago, as it reads. And keep in mind, I can't leave this on TikTok. Something you should ask yourself is, why is TikTok censoring something like this? Would you agree that Chinese, folks, by and large, come from traditional families based on a dude and a gal? So why would the Chinese government, if TikTok is in fact, strictly Chinese, why would they be promoting something that would censor what I have to say having to do with things like this? Why would they do that? Why would they promote the propaganda that's being circulated? And many people, I should say, the moral majority, appear to be repeating, which is why this shit has traction. But why would China do that? Doesn't that fly in the face of everything you would think of in terms of Chinese belief systems, Chinese families, age-old, systems of belief? It doesn't check out. But what I've also rattled off, and this is equally relevant despite what you might assume, one thing you could do is look up the Antarctic Treaty. China and America both signed it. Both of these are countries, which are technically corporations. America became a corporation in 1871 under the Organic Act, which established a bullshit jurisdiction known as a city-state, having to do with specifically the District of Columbia, and it's the bottom of the trilateral city-states, which means America is a corporation in all capital letters, and the military-industrial complex is the bottom of the trilateral city-states, and you don't hear that fucking shit come up. You don't. Because you're not supposed to understand any of this shit, let alone how it works. So as this reads, welcome to Logic Land, duds. If people thought about what's going on, no one in their right mind would support something like this. It has absolutely nothing to do with a moral compass. That's one way to simplify it. Altering a child's physical form, their hormones on a chemical level, and the list goes on. Their life path, if you will. Does that have anything to do with a moral compass in a good way, in a beneficial way? Later on, what I say in here factors into what I just said and circumvents the entire thing in case you can't fucking connect two dots. Back to point. I said it has nothing to do with a moral compass, which is how you know that it is absolutely wrong and by all rights an agenda. What was last said is based on the fact that it's widely circulated and well-financed. In case you're very, very slow. Anything that's well-financed and well-circulated you can't trust. Because the people who are pulling our strings have done what to us throughout our entire lives and prior to our lives, our parents' lives. And a lot of people out there probably couldn't connect those dots either. You and I are slaves. You and I have been manipulated. Most things out there are in place to keep us in our lot in life and to continue manipulating us by degrees. This shit subjugates the masses. It maintains the status quo, not for you and I, but for our masters, because we put bread on their fucking tables. Back to point. So I said, well-financed and well-circulated. You can't trust that shit. Ask yourself, is this being spoon-fed to people in the propaganda? I mean, the programming. Same difference. Think for yourself. This is child abuse. If something is not natural, it's not, or it isn't healthy, as I worded it. And that's how you know that this is not a good thing. It has nothing to do with a moral compass. Otherwise, little girls would be shit out and they would have fucking mustaches and they would be little boys, which means we wouldn't have to call them little girls in the first place, but that doesn't make much sense because that contradicts itself, because this shit is unhealthy and absolutely unnecessary. It's ridiculous. It's fucking retarded. But look at how many people have circulated the propaganda. 67,000. Did you also notice John Leguizamo? Obviously, he's a piece of shit. In case you care about celebrity puppets. You can't trust celebrity puppets, nor should you. 4,000 people have commented, and a lot of those are me, just so you know. It looks like 254,000 fucking people who are fucking retards, boys and gals, make no mistake, are supporting this shit. Tomboys and sissies, so to speak, have always fucking existed. The same with fucking cross-dressing, but by and large, it was not the predominant this, that, and the other thing. Because if that was the case, well, most likely you and I would not be here if people were stressing this shit as much as they are right now. Talking about birthing people and ridiculous fucking jargon. There's a gal in here who just said that I'm a... What was it? Not me, but she's referring to herself. Hold on, it's below these ones. Right here. She's using the social engineering jargon, the CIS. And she identifies as, eating pussy and sucking dick. And it's really important to tell everybody what you do behind closed doors these days. I eat ass. I blah, blah, blah. Who fucking cares? If you had a moral compass, you wouldn't be talking about that in public. Because there's no need for anybody else to hear about that stuff. It reminds me, it's not the best example. I have an ex-girlfriend and it used to crack me up. She would go out of her way, and I wanted her healthy, but she'd tell me about bowel movements, and she ate a lot of greens, so she'd tell me how green her shit was. And that's good for you, but you might want to balance some of that out if it's often too green. But I don't need to hear about it. She wasn't unwell, but it was funny. It was funny. And when I hear people babble about their sexual proclivities in a public format, it is funny, but it's absolutely unnecessary. And it also speaks to the fact that people are using their lowest aspect of their chakras by design, not coincidence, because you and I, again, are being fucking manipulated. People aren't rising to the occasion. People aren't raising their vibration despite what they assume they're being told that they are, but it's all doublespeak. If you consider people's actions, they sure as shit are not raising their fucking vibrations. Also, understand, there's a point at which, if you think in terms of chakras, that you don't want to go beyond. An example I could give you has to do with fasting, and I've rattled this off before. When you do not eat for a prolonged amount of time, you go into a state of ketosis, yeah? Which is alkalizing, it's good for you. I can't say it, so have a laugh. Either way, it's good for you for the most part, but if you keep doing that, your body will flip the script. You could picture an hourglass, and it will quite literally turn, so to speak. And your body will become acidic if you do fast for too long. Also appreciate, guys and gals, this is important, because if you're a gal out there running around pretending to be a guy, you're not going to be doing the right things for your body. And the same goes for if a guy's out there running around pretending to be a gal, you're not going to do the right things for your body. Because you're not appreciating the sacred masculine and the sacred divine, or the sacred feminine, which is the sacred divine as a whole. You and I are, if you're a gal out there, we are each halves of a whole. And it is important to appreciate that. It's how things work. But what I was going to get at with fasting is gals, because they have a menstrual cycle, etc., 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 they should not fast as long as guys can. But that doesn't mean that women are weak. It means that dudes and gals have strengths and weaknesses, each of them alike, and we balance one another out, which is the point to the fucking system, because that's how the fucking system works. You have night and day, motherfucker, cold and hot, magnetism and electricity, and the list fucking goes on, yin and yang. As the Chinese, stressed, ironically, and yet flash forward to contemporary times, and TikTok is censoring this shit. What the fuck do I know?